Hello everybody. Today I am going to show you guys how to make the almond coconut formula, which I talk about so often. I've had several of you asking me to make a video on how to do it, and this is going to be the demonstration. Now, this is an amazing way to get raw minerals, protein, and essential fatty acids into the diet. If you feel that you don't like eating too much cooked meat and you don't want to do too much raw meat and you want like a supplemental boost of raw amino acids and minerals, this is the best way that I have found. Especially if you're in your post-reproductive years, this is going to be excellent. It's not for children. You can't develop a child after this, but if you have your metabolism slowed down to an extent and you have a decent sized frame, this will do you amazing. And for me personally, I find it to be the most energy giving food. It gives me a lot of energy. But anyway, a cup of almonds. I had these soaked overnight for 24 hours actually, so yesterday, and I just drained them. I drained the water out. You'll need almonds, and this is a cheap blender I bought in Thailand. You could use really any blender. Any blender will do it. You'll need a probiotic. You'll need a coconut. And I bought this coconut opener from Amazon for like $10. Just, if you're going to do this, it's going to make your life a lot easier. So, you open up the coconut. Coconut's opened up, and you want to put just enough coconut water to where the almonds are going to be just submerged with the water. You don't want to overdo it. That's I overdid it a little bit. That's okay. The excess water, pour it out into a different container. Let me grab a spoon. And what you do is, with a spoon, you bring out the coconut meat and put it inside the blender as well. And what this does is, you have these raw electrolytes and minerals from the water. But the fat, this is raw saturated fat. And it's not very different from the saturated fat you'd find on a very healthy grass-fed ruminant animal. It's the same type of fat. And the benefit here is that if you don't like eating raw meat too much, we can get the same raw quality of fat from a food like this. Again, it's not exactly the same. You don't have the vitamin A or vitamin D, which is crucial for developing bone mass and for helping children develop to their full extent. But in your post-reproductive years, you don't necessarily need to be growing much, do you? You preferably should be interested in longevity, energy, mental clarity, happiness, and so on. So, that's all the spooned out raw fat. Additionally, you could add like a tablespoon of olive oil, a tablespoon of avocado oil, cold pressed, glass bottle, dark glass bottle, high quality oil, and that'll help a lot. You then get a probiotic. You open up the capsule and you release the contents into the blender. Okay? Once that is done, I don't have an extension cord. I have a blender here. I'm going to go off camera and blend it. And then I'll be back and I'll show you guys the consistency that you are looking for. Give me a second. Alright, so I'm all blended here. If you look, it is almost like a yogurt and a hummus. It could have been a little bit thicker than this. I put just a little bit too much water, but that's fine. It's not a big problem. You don't want to put too much water because then it'll just it won't ferment properly. If you want to minimize the sugar, you have the option of, instead of putting coconut water, you can just put regular filtered water, and it'll work as well. And at this point, it's not really ready to consume, although you could have a few tablespoons and it's fine. You give it 3 to 4 hours to ferment here on, just put it on your stove or put it on some shelf. Let the air and let it be aerated. And what's going to happen is the probiotic capsule that I put inside here, they're going to pre-digest the amino acids and essential fatty acids for you. And all of the oxalates or anti-nutrients, which were to an extent neutralized when you soak them for 24 hours, they're further neutralized here by the bacteria. And so this is a process very similar to sourdough bread, but except it's even far more digestible and far more nutritious because it's a hard seed rather than just a starchy grain, and it has a lot of minerals and far more amino acids and fatty acids. If you're familiar with the primal diet, Augenis von der Planet's, he talked about the number one food for helping to fight depression and enhance mood was high meat. And high meat is essentially rotten meat. It's meat you put inside of a mason jar, aerate a few times a day, and eventually different types of microorganisms and fungus grow and mold grow on the meat, and they pre-digest the meat, and then you eat that, and because it's already pre-digested, as soon as it hits your stomach, it feeds your brain and nervous system. There's no digestive effort required on your part to digest it. And this is nothing new. These kinds of high animal foods were very common in times past, and Augenis von der Planet's got this idea from the Inuit, who are the real carnivores on the planet. And they would have like raw fish and raw walrus meat, which they would let age for like months, even years on end at times, and they would eat that rotten food in order to feel very healthy and strong and happy. They also ate regular raw meat, but as a supplemental boost, and it was a delicacy, they ate this rotten meat, this high meat. And there's things like high cheese from Italy, where they have literally worms and maggots crawling in the cheese, and people used to eat that stuff. Kefir and yogurt are a similar idea and concept. It's fermented milk, which has become pre-digested, and it has a lot of serotonin, and it helps you feel well, and it's good for the gut. This is the same idea, except you're doing it to the most nutrient-dense plant food. It's an almond. More than all the other plants, the nuts and seeds have the most nutrition. And if you can make that in the most bioavailable form, it is just going to make you feel superb. So this is it, guys. You can eat as much of this as you want. I recommend doing like 6 to 10 tablespoons an hour. Some people, when they first have it, they feel really high. I do. I always do when I have it. And there are others who I have told to make this stuff and consume it, and they don't get the same high feeling. They don't feel this zing, this energy. And I believe it could be due to malabsorption. And this is why I recommend things like coffee enemas to help clear the digestive tract, oxtail soups, collagenous, gelatinous soups, which can heal the digestive tract. And after that point, something like this becomes far more digestible. Your intestines, your microvilli are regenerated. You can actually absorb the nutrition. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and leave your questions or comments below. I hope this was clear to you all. Thank you all and have a wonderful day.